one of the big downsides we see among a lot of coaches is that they have almost fallen into that category of they saw somebody who was successful and they go out and tell everybody to be that same person. And that's not great advice. Somebody who can critically go through and sort out your skills, your traits, what you're good at, and then help you to overcome your insecurities about doing things that might scare you a little bit. That kind of a coach is invaluable.
Welcome back to our Happy Rainmakers video series where point one can make a difference. Today, I'm joined by Blaine Prescott, who is the managing shareholder and consultant at MesaFive. Thanks so much for being with us today, Blaine.
Thanks, Jennifer. I appreciate you inviting me to come.
So a lot of times there's no training on rainmaking activity and business development, and people are left floundering, and I feel terrible for them. But on the other hand, sometimes firms say, oh, well, Blaine's a great rainmaker. Just follow him around and do what he does, and then you'll be a great rainmaker, right? Is there any problem with that?
Yeah, there's actually a lot of problems with that. If you look at the science behind people who are extraordinary at what they do, one of the most common findings is that most highly skilled people in any activity, it could be not just rainmaking, it could be the best lawyers, it could be somebody who makes violins, et cetera. This is sort of a universal concept, is that they cannot accurately tell you what makes them so successful. So much of what they do is so intuitive to their personality that them trying to convey, oh, here's what you should do. You should be me. You should have my personality. That's not great advice. That's not very substantive or helpful. So just, one of the most common things you see law firms, they have a retreat. They say, gee, what are we going to do at this retreat? Let's get a panel of our rainmakers. We'll put them up there. And that might be an interesting panel to listen to. But it almost never has any meaningful effect on the total amount of work that's being generated in the firm. Again, partly because so much of what makes these people successful is intrinsic to their personality. It's their natural instincts. And if you don't have those same natural instincts, those same levels of comfort with whatever venue they choose to market in, this is like giving you advice that you never really actually listen to. It's entertaining, but it doesn't really help you very much.
So following around a good rainmaker or hearing from a panel of several good rainmakers probably isn't going to be enough to become a good rainmaker.
Not in and of itself. What I would tell people is that I still might occasionally have those panels, but I would tell people to think back about what do you think makes this one person really good at what they do? So the approach I would take is telling everybody in the audience, pick and choose among all the various elements that fit your personality and rebuild yourself as a marketing partner, but don't necessarily just try and absolutely copy someone else. Again, you might be trying to copy characteristics that you just don't have, but going through and discerning what makes this work for someone else and figuring out, gee, do I have those qualities? Again, picking and choosing among everything you hear might be one of the best things you can do.
So then going to that panel discussion, because it's entertaining anyway, and figuring out, what, that guy is really good at golf and I'm not. That's probably not my thing. But that person is really good at something else that I have an interest in and I've already gotten some practice with. Maybe I'll try that style. Kind of like when I was learning how to take depositions as a lawyer, and I got to observe a bunch of different styles and then figure out what felt the most comfortable to me.
Perfect advice and a good example, developing your own style that fits your personality by looking at lots of different people. That's terrific advice to get.
So would you advise firms that have associates and other senior attorneys who are interested in business development to make opportunities available for them to maybe tag along when somebody is speaking or going to a client event or going to a networking event so that they could get that information and observe what are the possibilities?
copying somebody else, or at least watching somebody else in action, is always helpful. Again, the most important qualifying advice there is you don't necessarily have to be exactly like them. Pick out the elements that apply to you and your personality. That will work. Tends to work extremely well for most lawyers. The problem is most law firms tell people, oh, just copy exactly what the Rainmaker does.
Let's do what Bob's doing. You'll be
Yeah.
great.
That's not terribly helpful advice. Finding a coach who has that ability to think about critically about what you can do well and look at the combination of skills that we can apply to you. It's probably one of the best things. The challenge is finding a coach that can really do that. I think there's one of the big downsides we see among a lot of coaches is that they have almost fallen into that category of they saw somebody who was successful and they go out and tell everybody to be that same person. And that's not great advice. Somebody who can critically go through and sort out your skills, your traits, what you're good at, and then help you to, again, as we talked about earlier, overcome your insecurities about doing things that might scare you a little bit. That kind of a coach is invaluable. That's probably one of the best things you can do.
All right. Well, thank you so much. This was really interesting. And I think I'm going to try becoming a rainmaker myself.
Thanks, Jennifer. I appreciate the invitation today.
Thank you very much, Blaine.